Hi everyone, good night everybody. Happy New Year to you and welcome to my pool space. It's a brand new season and I am glad that you are here tonight. And tonight we have a wonderful program in store for everybody. You know, have you ever wondered what do you do if you think your pool is leaking? Or what do you know if you know it's leaking? How do you solve this? Are there tools to solve this? Are there ways to solve this? Guess what? Tonight, we're going to answer all of your questions. You know why? Because we have a special a special show in store for you guys tonight. I'm so excited. Tonight on the program, we have gotten someone I'm trying to get for holy, and finally we got him. And who is he? His name is Darren, and he is founder, owner, and inventor of electronics, torque lock, structural repair systems. And Darren brings over 10 years of, over 30 years, my pardon, over 30 years of experience of practical and innovative pool repair when it comes to leaks and leak detection. So tonight, don't go anywhere, stay tuned, call your friends, let them know that we are on live. And guess what? You can ask your questions tonight. Go ahead. Take it over, Darian.
Let me tell you again how I got into this business, how I started. I moved down to Florida in 1989, and I got into servicing swimming pools. I was cleaning pools, and I hated it. It just wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy cleaning pools. But when I used to go to some of my pools, they used to hire other companies to do the remodeling. And when I figured out how much the remodelers were making, the plasterers, the tilers, and coping and stuff like that, I quickly got involved in that, and I started a company called Marsite Done Right, and it was back when we used to call it Marsite and not plaster, and so this is giving away my age in the business. And so when I got into that, part of the process is chipping out pools, it's acid washing pools to get them ready and prepped properly. And by doing that, we were creating a lot of leaks in swimming pools by, acid sitting in a skimmer seam, by chipping around the return line, by doing all sorts of things. We created problems, and I needed to figure out a solution. So I bought equipment. There was an equipment manufacturer, I'm not going to name names, out on the market at the time. I bought some of the equipment, opened it up, but basically all it was for finding plumbing leaks. Leaks in plumbing, so deck plates and soil probes, basically. And I decided there's got to be a better way to figure out how to hear the leaks in the shell. Again, because I'm gonna jump past where I'm going, but 95% of all leaks are within a 3-foot radius of the pool itself. It's kind of something that I stick to all along. So with that being said, I devised microphones, hydrophones that go down in the swimming pool. So when you put a mic in the pool, the weight of the water leaking out, when that microphone gets near it, creates the noise. And when you get closer, it puts you literally on the leak. So I built that for myself. And then I wound up selling my business in Florida, and I wound up moving to Texas, in the Austin, Texas area, and got involved in just doing leak detections. And it was very, very, very successful. And I decided, if I'm building the equipment for myself, let me start building it for others. And that's when Leaktronics really took off. But before that, and let me just jump a little bit back, we ran into a lot of structural cracks in swimming pools as a plasterer. So chipping them out, we wound up seeing cracks behind plaster, cracks that were there when we started. And I went to an engineer at the time, and they were basically telling me to install rebar, kind of like we call it beating in a horseshoe. So shape them like a horseshoe almost, and set them in with an epoxy. And we had immediate failure. It was failing all the time. And when you have a structural crack fail and you're the plasterer, it's going to wind up costing you a lot of money to do those repairs, or possibly have to replaster. So that's when I created a product, and that was in 2005, and it was called Torque Lock. And Torque Lock is a post-tension staple for repairing structural cracks in gunite and shotcrete. And that really started to do well, started selling that through distribution. and then selling it again directly. We built, Torque Lock as a company. Later on, added Leaktronics as a company in 2011 when I was in Austin, Texas. I sold my business. I had a very large leak detection company in the Austin area, and wound up moving to Los Angeles and going full-fledged into the manufacturing side.
Good, good. So in terms of and I mean, you said a lot there. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and when it comes to leaks input, because in the islands we are mostly concrete pools. I mean, that's our staple. Concrete pools is what we have, and so in terms of concrete pools, from what some of Mac has seen and I have seen, um, we what from your experience, what are the most common um, issues that we get in concrete pools to make it more adapt to our situation here?
Okay, it's a good question. So again, concrete pool, concrete crack. So shotcrete, gunite. Look, gunite, shotcrete is concrete. It's just a different way of placing it, right? It's somewhat within the same realm of PSI. It's just about, again, gunite shooting from a gun, shotcretes mixing out a nozzle, and so on and so forth. However, when I get back to the 95% of all these leaks are within the 3 foot radius, it's because of cold joints. It's because a skimmer seam butts up against the gunite. It's because a light niche is a different material than the concrete, right? So we have leaks around light niches. We have leaks in plumbing. We have leaks where plumbing plastic comes through a different. So again, we call that a cold joint. So where plastic comes through the wall, we can get leaking around that penetration. Same thing with skimmers. Same thing with lights. Same thing with main drain pots. And again, the way they're building them now with different features and different negative edges and slot drains and all sorts of other things. The more they create, the more they leak. So to answer your question, again, when they're gunite, again, most of our leaks are created because of those reasons, because of cold joints.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mac, of course, Mac is our local Darren here, and I remember the very first pool we did, Mac. What it was? Where was the leak? Mac, you're muted. The very first pool that we did with your and we had of course we had your equipment. The very first pool that we did, guess what? It was around
The
the
jet.
jet and the concrete. you know?
Can
Right.
you hear me now?
Mac,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think I'm getting feedback now
Okay.
that you turned on.
No, that's those are crickets.
Are you hearing the same thing, or
Are
is it
you?
just me?
Yeah, those. So welcome to the island, man, where everything is natural. So Mac,
Yeah.
I'm hearing cricket one, cricket two, cricket three out there, man. What's going on here? You got a cricket match
I
now?
don't know. I think they're probably here with me.
Okay.
That's very funny.
Um, I don't know
Yes.
how you're getting that so loud. I don't know how you're getting that so loud.
That's all right, man. That's all right. It's a live show, so things like that bound to happen. By the way, I must tell the audience that we do have we are taking their questions as we go along when it comes to leaks. Um, we can talk about your equipment, of course. We talk about your equipment, Darren. When it comes
Yeah.
to some of the things that you have put out there, um, in terms of things we can use, things we can do when it comes to testing for leaks. And of course, I'm
Okay.
on your site. I'm looking at your kits. Um, what are you have the Pro Complete Leak Detection Kit? What's that all about?
Right. So the Pro Complete Leak Detection Kit is for the guy that wants to get into the business. So
Hmm.
it gives you a little bit of everything. So it comes with static cones, it comes with pressure testing capabilities, it comes with plugs, it comes with a mini camera with dye injector, and all the microphones to basically put in the pool and listen. So again, 95% of those leaks in the 3-foot radius of the pool, we get that, right? But every once in a while, you're going to have to pressure test a line, put it under pressure, and do the right combination of air and water in order to create that specific boil. So in the Pro Complete kit, it comes with the deck plate and it comes with the soil probe as well. And those products allow you to, the deck plate allows you to listen over decks, hardscapes, over pavers, over concrete, over anything hard. We even sell to plumbers who listen just through slabs of houses, through tile and stuff like that. Again, the Pro Complete kit is a kit that really lets you get in there, and as it's specialty, for concrete and fiberglass pools. And then we also have, again, if you start getting into our other equipment, is something called the Vilo. And what you don't understand in the islands, and most South Floridians don't understand, is that 60% of the swimming pools in the United States are vinyl liner. And so East, Midwest, it's almost all vinyl liner pools. When you start going like Atlanta, Georgia up, and North Carolina, South Carolina, a lot of those pools are vinyl liners. So we create, again, something called the Vilo. Now, that doesn't work by sound. That basically works on an electrical charge. So we're literally sending an electrical charge into the swimming pool, and then we have a ground probe. So we scan it, and we scan the vinyl. And wherever there's a ground, that will alert the user that there's a leak, that we're pointing to an actual leak. So as the Pro Complete, again, it's more for the concrete and gunite. Then we have the Vilo, which is more for the vinyl liner pool. It also works with fiberglass pools as well.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. And of course, when it comes to leak detection, what are some of the do's and don'ts? Just a one-on-one, some do's and don'ts when you're looking for a leak in a pool.
So the number one rule is again, and I teach at a lot of the trade shows, and one of the funniest things I tell people is get as much information from the customer and take 50% of it and throw the rest out of your head, okay? Because they could send you on a wild goose chase. So in other words, is take in information. Our leak detection starts with the phone call, and that's how we train. We have a training program as well. We teach leak detection. Our online course is amazing. But one of the first things is get as much information. And here's a couple of examples of some of the questions that we ask. Has there any construction been done around the pool lately? How big is the pool? Let's us be able to price it out before we come out, right? Does it have a spa? We add money to that. So in other words, get as much information from the customer as possible, but don't take too much of that information in. You have to kind of come up with your own conclusions when it comes to leak detection. So that's the number one thing is, I like to leave a pool in its original state when I walk up to it, okay? And I'll give you some examples of why it's really important to do that. Leave it running the way it was. Like we've run into leak detections where we'll go out and there'll be like a waste valve with a waste line going to, you don't know where it's going to, but they have a new pool guy and he just decided to turn it, right? So I've seen this 50 times in my career of stuff like that. Let me give you a good example of why you should take what a customer says in, but draw your own conclusions. We just did a leak detection. This was about 6 months ago it was down here in Malibu, California. And they have a waterfall and they don't use the waterfall, but they have a waterfall. And the customer says, well, it can't be leaking in the waterfall because we never turn it on. Well, guess what? They had an Aqualink and the previous homeowner before them had it set to come on maybe a minute 3 o'clock in the morning just to clean any leaves or debris off of it, right? And when that thing turned on, 100% to nowhere. So you have to kind of be your own detective, and you have to look and listen to what they say, but you have to literally draw your own conclusions. That's the most important part about any leak detection. Another thing is that the pool needs to be clean, clear. We need to be able to see down to the drain. If I can't see a drain in a pool, how am I going to see a crack in a pool? How am I going to see something, if there's leaves and debris covering up a self-cleaning floor head, let's say, we're not going to be able to see that. So we tell the customer to have the pool full to the proper level, not overfill it, but halfway up the tile typically, and to have the pool as clean as possible. Like if there's leaves in it, we're not going to walk away. But we need to be able to see that whole entire pool. That's another very important part about, performing a proper leak detection. Listening with our mics going down in the pool, being able to get our mics in front of light niches, in front of conduits, in front of side suctions and floor heads, cleaners, and so on and so forth. Most important part. We try not to pressure test every single solitary job. Pressure testing is last if necessary, and that's how we teach and train. We have a method, and we sell something called static cones. Are you guys familiar with those?
Yeah, we have some. Mac has some.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, static cones can save you a lot of time, a lot of pipe cutting, unnecessary pipe cutting, a lot of gluing, a lot of things that you don't need to be doing. You could get accurate static testing, just as accurate as pressure testing in a lot of cases, if you get good and you know what you're doing. So be least invasive, right? So be able to see, be least invasive, take what a customer tells you, throw the rest out of your head. And again, draw and be thorough. That's one of the most important part of leak detection. A lot of guys will go in, they'll find a leak in the skimmer seam. They'll say, hey, it's here. Give a crappy estimate, write up a 3-part bound leak in skimmer. Here's the price it was. When we get done with the leak detection, first of all, we have a leak detection reporting app, the Leaktronics app. So it literally walks you through everything that you tested. You could just plug it right in, and it will generate a complete report. But it's not just going to say where the leak was. It's going to say what did leak, what didn't leak, what you tested, and everything that you went through. So being very, very thorough on the reporting is very important. And remember, what we teach and what we train is converting leak detections to repairs. The money's in the repairs, right? Mm-hmm. So when you give a really good follow-up, when you give a good estimate, when you show these people your equipment, that you know what you're doing, you're gonna get those repairs. You're gonna convert, and the conversion is one of the most important parts of being in the leak detection business.
I get you. And of course, at the time it goes so quickly. We want to talk about your product, Pipoxy.
Great.
I think that's very interesting. I think Mac is very excited to ask you about that. So let's go to that, and then we come back to that.
Sure.
Yeah. See.
All right. So here we go.
You want me to explain the Pipoxy?
A brand new product to the swimming pool industry. We've been working on this for over 5 years, and we're finally ready to introduce it. Check it out. Leaktronics has teamed up with Pipoxy to enable swimming pool contractors to repair broken pipes underground without having to cut or dig. The Pipoxy 3-part epoxy and delivery system allows users to repair pipes ranging from 1 inch to 2.5 inch in diameter and can be used on PVC, poly, flex pipe, or copper. The sanding discs and heads are designed to maneuver through multiple fittings while applying an even coat of epoxy on the area that's being repaired. You can use Pipoxy to repair small cracks in pipes to complete separations. You could also have confidence knowing that the Pipoxy repair will be more durable than the actual pipe itself. To learn more about the...
So, tell us about this part, because it seems amazing. It looks amazing. Tell us about this product, Darren. And of course, Mac, that's where you come in. Take it away,
It's like all of our stuff.
Well,
Go ahead, Mac.
It should be a lifesaver.
It is, again, and just so you guys know, it has a limitation, okay? We get a lot of calls from people, could we line every pipe in a pool with it? And the answer is no, okay? Look, it was designed, it was engineered, and it's built for what I keep preaching, that leaks, 95% of leaks are within the 3-foot radius of the pool itself, right? So it gets very challenging when you get past 15 to the 25-foot range, right? But, most leaks in a skimmer line, where are they, guys? They're right behind the skimmer. Am I right in saying that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Most leaks in a return line are at the first 90. Am I right in saying that? Mm-hmm. Main drains, when main drains leak, they usually leak literally right underneath the structure. And I'm talking about plumbing line leaks. So for all of those types of leaks, self-cleaning floor heads, self-side suction cleaner lines, all of those things, Pipoxy is literally made for that. It's just, again, it's something that I built to enhance, the leak detection and have my contractors being able to go out, repair a leak underneath the deck without having to cut that concrete. And I'll tell you what, one thing I'm learning, it's been for sale for a year now with a lot of success. We have a lot of successful people out there using it. But one thing that I didn't realize when I launched this is that a lot of new construction guys are using this. So they'll go out, they'll build a brand new pool, and they'll drive in deck stakes and they'll hit a pipe. And that's brand new concrete or it's brand new pavers, and they don't want to rip that stuff up. So a big part of our business is brand new construction, more than you can imagine.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, what are your thoughts on that?
It sounds fantastic. Darren, I wanted to ask you, when you was talking about the distance from the pool, what would you say per diameter of the pipework is the maximum length that we could use this product? So,
I'd
i.e.,
say
we
good question. I'd say the max length is about 21 feet. Okay, but when you start getting in the range of 15 and on, it gets a lot more challenging as an applicator, as an installer. Okay, you have to do dry runs, and we have a training program for it. So with all our equipment, the bulk of all our equipment, and we just launched a training for structural crack repair with Torque Lock. Our Pipoxy, when you buy any of our equipment from us, it comes with a free 2-hour training course. And
right,
so there's a lot you could learn. You can gain a lot of knowledge from that. I don't recommend anybody use it without doing that training course. But the answer to your question is it starts getting trickier when you get over 11 feet. But successfully, I could do 11 to 21 feet, no problem.
right, but pipe size from 2 inch to inch
Oh,
pipe.
pipe diameter. Good question. So right now it's inch and a half. We could get through inch and a half 90s. So minimum is inch and a half. I've done inch and a quarter with 1 or 2 90s. But we
Right,
advertise inch and a half all the way up to 2.5 right now. But we just did some custom sized brushes. So we're going up to 3 inch right now. And there's a lot of 3 inch main drain
okay,
lines out there. We just posted a YouTube video on our YouTube channel, on the Electronics YouTube channel, of us doing a 3 inch main drain line on a commercial pool. It's really good stuff to watch.
Okay.
fantastic.
All right. And of course, I mean, I went through, I saw that there's drying time. What's the process of this product? The process you go through.
Okay. Good question. So if you're using it down in the islands, it's a lot warmer. So you're going to run into humidity and you're going to run into warmer temperatures. If you're using it, so again, the typical dry time we call down by you would be about 4 hours. But if you're using it in 50-degree weather and it's pretty cool out, I would say give it 8 hours. But in any case, whether you give it 4 hours to set up or 8 hours, if you can give it 24 hours after you put the dryer on it, it comes with a dryer, and that just gets low flow volume to dry out the pipe. We don't want to push too much because that will literally push through the leak and create another issue. So we have a low volume, low flow blower that will literally run air through that pipe. If you could give it 24 hours, that's what I recommend you do. But if you're in a case where you have to get it back online, 4 hours should be the setup time in warmer climates.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And that is with a drained pool, right? Not with water in the pool.
Well, that's a good question too, Mac. We will do it if we're doing it on a return line. We could build a standpipe. So if it's a threaded wall fitting, we could thread into it, come up out of the water line, blow that line clean. It has to get dry. So we should go shop vac through it, and we'll keep a shop vac on it for about an hour, and that will literally get all the humidity and all the wetness and any physical water out of it. So we have a couple of examples of us doing that on the website. So we could build if it's a skimmer line, we'll just put a straight standpipe in it so that it comes
Yeah,
above the water line. And we're doing it with full
okay,
pools. Look, if you're doing it on a return line in a pool, it's easier to do it with the pool empty than laying on your belly on a deck sometimes. And you know the way it is.
yeah,
However, if you have to save water like you guys do on the islands a lot, And in areas where you need to save water, it could totally be done.
So it can be done with water, yeah. Because a lot of the
Absolutely.
times we have the issue with the ground movement, so we have drainage problems.
Yes,
So
I
it
know.
would, and at times we may have to try and do this with a full pull
Yeah, and we'll,
or
on our
half full,
website,
whatever the case
we'll
be.
give you full
Yeah,
examples. And just so you know, like any customer that has an application, we have a hotline. You call us up, and we have guys that will technically walk you through any situation. So you could call us up and say, "I have 3 returns trunking to one. It's leaking at the 90 of this return," and we'll give you ideas. Sometimes we'll ask you to draw it out for us, but our technical support is superior, and we're here to help.
fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Of course, let me invite the audience. If there are any questions as we come down, please post them in the chat. Of course, I'll be sure to answer questions. So, okay, come on, guys. You can post down your questions, trim some hardballs, trim something out, and of course, Darren, I mean, Mac, there were just pool in Balata that you went to, and you found a crack. I remember in the structure, and Darren, we
Right.
we use we use the torque lock on that pool, and I must tell you today, that pool is good. Never got a call back, so that thing works, man. That thing works.
and,
Oh,
and
definitely.
it's a good look. It's a good product. It's less than a 5% failure rate, and to do that with any kind of structural, concrete, epoxies, whatever you're using, less than a 5% failure rate is an amazing statistic in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
so the floor is open to questions. Anybody who wants to pose a question, just put it in the chat. I will seek to answer your questions tonight. Um, of course. So in terms of equipment, battery equipment, um, what's new in your kit? Because I remember at the show, I think you have the longer mics right now, isn't it? Those longer mics
Yeah.
and cameras.
Well,
Yeah.
we just again, remember, so we do about half our business to the swimming pool contractors, but we also do 50% of our business to plumbing contractors as well. We have a whole division of plumbing. We do a lot of podcasting. We do a lot of stuff with a lot of plumbing contractors as well. So I'm not going to get into the plumbing side, but on the swimming pool side, we are introducing. I mean, you guys are the first to hear it. We just put it up on our website 2 days ago, and we built a whole new set of hydrophones. It's called the Redheads, and they're a very sensitive hydrophone, and it's a new amp. So you guys are used to our LT1000 amp that hangs over,
Yeah.
okay, and you have to mute it each time. We made it a little bit easier. So it's a brand new amp. It's an aluminum body. It's located on our website if you want to pull that up. And it's about 30% more sensitive than our yellow line mics, and it's really sensitive, and it very much less background noise. The way we design the
That's it.
circuitry,
That's important.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
important.
Look,
Yeah.
background noise is a leak detective's biggest nightmare.
It is. Yeah.
When there's a jet flying overhead, that's the sound of a leak, right? So
Yeah.
I teach
Yeah.
our training that if you hear a leak, take your headphones off and look up to make sure that you're not
Yeah.
hearing a jet. But this will kill a lot of the wind noises, a lot of background noises, even lawn mowers and leaf blowers from 5 yards down.
That's great.
But that's
That's
one of
great
that's
news.
one of our brand it's one of our brand new products that's we're introducing that at the Atlantic City show coming up in next week.
Great.
All right, excellent, Mac. I
That's
think that's
great. Yeah.
that's what you need, Mac. Because I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm
because
adding that one to the list. That's going to be added
because
to the list.
the background noise is really a sticker, a sticker, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
when the wind blows.
yeah. And this another good
Yeah.
thing about this is it's got a button, so push to listen. So you get over the area, you could volume it up, and then you don't have to worry about tapping into something. Get it nice and steady. Push your button, listen. When you release the button, it goes right to mute, and then you can move on.
Great. Great group. Great improvement.
Okay, we have a question here. It says, I have a newly built pool that's experiencing leak at the main drain. What product or method do you think would work for me without draining my pool?
Okay, good. Good question. But is it in the main itself, or is it in the main drain line? So the answer to that question is let's get specific. Put a professional on it and find out if it's in the drain or whether it's in the plumbing itself. Because there's two totally different answers, whichever it is. So diagnose it properly before guessing, because if you guess, it's going to cost you. It could be wasted money.
All right. If it's a cold joint, what do you do? Do you drain the pool, or you can?
So look, I don't like epoxy. I call it bubble gum. I don't like two-part epoxy in pools. I hate it. Okay, and just so you know, like I've done epoxy jobs that are probably still holding from 1990s.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's not a professional. When I see YouTubers and I see TikTok and I see guys using epoxy on a structural crack or something like that, it makes me cringe because it's just not the proper way to do it. What I recommend on a situation like that is if it is leaking around the cold joint, around where the plastic butts up, drain the pool, take a diamond blade, take a nice little cut, make it nice and neat and clean, and then pack it with a hydraulic cement. And if you take a nice clean cut, you could do such a nice job wiping it down, sponging it down. If it's a dark plaster, use a gray. If it's a light plaster, use a white, and it could look really good, and that will last forever.
Good, good. So, guys, no epoxy. You drain the pool, cut it out, cement, and put it
Yeah.
back in there.
Look, right, and look, I've done hot patches underwater with hydraulic cement. It's just that you can't cut a groove by doing that. You would have to literally chip underwater. I've done it. I've been down there. I've spent hours underwater doing those kinds of repairs. It's just better. And again, on the islands, if you're doing it, I'd probably do it during the rainy season when water's more abundant. But it's always best to drain it, cut it, and pack it properly.
All right, excellent, guys. We are coming down to the wire. Pretty much we're there. So I'm giving somebody another chance to ask another question.
Sure.
Before we go, if they have a better question that they want to ask, Mac, is there any troublesome thing you come across? You know, in terms of leaks from your end.
Troublesome. Well, our latest one, we just had the answer to it.
Well, is that
I've just asked
around
it.
the main drain?
Similar, yeah, similar, yeah.
It's
Around.
funny, Mac. Were you the guy typing in the question? No, I'm only kidding.
No. Look, hands free, hands free.
That's very funny.
Um, no, no. I asked you. The question that I asked you was about the the poly, the distance from the pool. So that was really the
Right.
question I wanted to ask. So
Well, and
I
let me
could make
just
an assumption.
let me expand on that a little bit too. We call it point of entry. So, you know, your question is if it's on a polyline or if it's on a line that's furthest. If it's closer to the equipment, we'll go in at the equipment. If it's closer to the pool, we'll go in at the pool. So, um, using pipoxy, the most important thing is knowing exactly where the leak is. So let's say the
Yeah,
leak is 3 feet back from a skimmer. We'll fix 5 feet, right? Just so that we have that room of error.
right.
And there's certain mixtures, so you need to have to know how much to pour in that pipe and how much that's going to coat before the material exhausts itself. It's very scientific, but the answer to your question is we always want to get closest to the leak, closest to the point of entry, and go in from that direction.
All right, Harris,
As
Harris,
as
Harris.
as let me just ask the last question, Darren. We
Mhm.
just Can you just go over your camera equipment?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a camera now that will make it through 4 5 1.5 inch 90s with a sonde built into it, fully recordable. You could talk into it as you're going at Mrs. Smith's pool. We're going in the skimmer. It gives you the depth. So from the point of entry, it'll tell you in meters or in feet how far back you are. And then if you get to a crack that you can see, now let me just take that question a step further, real fast. We created it's called the Cam Vac system. I don't know if you gentlemen have seen that at our show. We didn't display it that much. It's going to be at all our shows this year. So we turned that line into a vacuum. So instead of pressure, we create a vacuum. And if there's dirt or roots or anything in a crack of a pipe, it will literally draw it into the pipe. If the pipe is full of water, it'll create air bubbles where the air is pulling in. And then you could locate that with the sonde, scan it, and know exactly where it is. It's amazing. So that technology has really come a long way. We came out with that about 2 years ago. We have a lot of people using the CamVac technology because, look, I'm pretty good with a camera. I'm pretty good with leak detection. But there could be situations where there's blue glue, there's black glue, there's a dirty pipe, and I could pass a leak 15 times without knowing it's a leak. But when you put that thing under vacuum, you'll know in a heartbeat that it's right there.
All right, there are two questions here. Let me put it to you guys. It's on the screen. Hi guys, if you suspect the brick is in the line is in the Venturi line, would you pipe epoxy for this?
The answer to the question is no. So a Venturi line has a 9/16 bolt, and you literally have about a quarter of an inch of where water can go in. So you're not getting any kind of brush. However, we're working on a blow-in system for that right now. That's under something that we're working on now. So it's not a brush application, but it's a blow-in application. It will work for Venturis.
All right. Here's one again. It says, are there specific dyes that work better than others?
I'm sorry. Dyes? Look.
Oh, really?
Look, I like to use a yellow dye and a dark light, right? So by the way, our cameras have a dye injector on them. So, and the cameras have LED lights on the end of them. So with cameras, I'll use a red dye. But if I'm like actually diving a pool and we're looking in a dark spot, like if it's in a conduit, if it's in a niche, if it's way back, I always like to use like a yellow. It's more fluorescent and it will literally show us stuff that the red won't. It'll really stand out and be in front of us.
All right. I think I saw a question, and we're going to take a few more. Somebody asked, any links for the courses? Any links for the courses?
Oh, so yeah, I mean, if you go onto the leaktronics.com, there's a whole training tab, and we have it in multiple languages. We're actually coming out with French next week. We have it in Spanish. We have and all of our training. So we have plumbers training. We have swimming pool training. We have swimming pool inspection with leak detection. We teach that a proper pool inspection is not proper unless there's a leak detection performed. There's no way you could do a proper inspection without doing a leak detection. So we teach leak detection, and that all those links are on the leaktronics.com website under the training tab.
All right, and we take one more. It says, what songs do you listen for to detect a leak when using the mic?
Okay, good question. So again, it's more of a jet sound. It's more of like we discussed. It's more of like a jet noise when we have our pool scope. So like when we have the mic in front of and let me give you another example. So if we have a light and we're standing on a wall, we have something called the SM1 where this aims back at us and we're listening at the light on the wall where we're standing. We treat the light like a clock and we start at 12 and we go all the way around. If it's louder anywhere on the outside, it's going to be the light niche that's leaking. And then when we're done with that, we hold it to the center of the glass and then we come out and in. If it's loud when we come back in, it's almost always going to be the conduit. So the answer to the question is it's a jet noise when we're listening with the hydrophones, but it's a different noise when we're listening with the deck plate or soil probe. It's more of a boiling type sound because we're getting water to the area of the leak and then we're letting air out of the leak, and that literally works its way through the saturation and creates a very distinct boil. And by the way, there's a resource tab on leaktronics.com where you could hear the sound of almost any type of leak. We have it audio recorded where they can actually hear it.
All right. Well, guys, we have come to the end of the show. Let me thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Mac. Darren, any last words from you?
Oh, I'm sorry?
Last words from you? Last words from you?
Oh, look, it's always a pleasure to see you guys when I come to the shows. I'm upset that you're not coming to Florida this year, but maybe I can make it. But I would love to see
Next
you
show.
guys at the shows. If there's any pool guys listening, I'm teaching at every show this year,
Yeah.
including Indianapolis next week, Atlantic City, Florida, Nashville, San Antonio. If anybody wants to come out to any of our classes, if you go, we have an events tab on our website where you could see everywhere we're going to be speaking. And come over, say hi, introduce yourself to me at the booth. I would love to see all of you. And if you have any questions, you could always reach out to us as well. And again, it's a pleasure working with you guys. We talked about this for a long time,
A
but we're
long
finally
time.
doing it. And I'll
Very
tell you something. Anytime you want to do this, you want to talk about any subject, I'm here.
All right, good, excellent.
fantastic. Well done, Darren.
All right.
Yes,
All
man.
right. It's a
So,
pleasure. Thanks.
amen. So, guys, thank you so much for being on tonight. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed this. I hope to see you next time. And of course, they can reach me at 458-2022 or 484-2022, and or you just scan our codes and you'll get us right. So next Thursday we are on again with a brand new show and another topic, same time, 8 p.m. right here, my pool space. Subscribe, and don't go anywhere as we continue to bring you, this year, 2024, we're going to bring you more interviews, more shows, and guess what, guys? Bring your questions, we'll answer them. So have a good night and take care.